All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. Just going to wait till a few people join, and then we'll get started with today's Q&A. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. We're just going to wait for a few people to join, and then we're going to start the Q&A. Thank you so much for joining. By the way, I'm Tanya. I'm FEZANA's Chief Social Media Officer, and I'm going to moderate today's Q&A.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. Is there too much of disturbance in the background for me, or
No, I think it's totally fine.
no? Okay.
It's all good. Oh no, you dressed up. Nice shirt.
Thank you.
So thank you for taking the time to do this Q&A. People submitted so many questions, so I think people are generally just curious about FEZANA, what it does, what your role is, and how they can get involved. So I just want to start with just the basic thing, just telling us what is FEZANA and what does your role play into the Zoroastrian community.
Sure. So FEZANA is an umbrella organization representing Zoroastrians in North America. It is a coordinating body. So unlike the general perception, individuals are not members of FEZANA, but member associations are. So every city in America has a has a Zoroastrian association. They all got together. Many of these associations are actually older than FEZANA. And so, when all of these individual city associations, were together in the 70s and the 80s, they decided, why don't we form an umbrella organization, a federation? And so everybody, so that's how it was formed. And what FEZANA does is it basically looks out and is the official spokesperson or the body for Zoroastrians in North America and, to the outside world. And internally, we become the coordinating body where, as an umbrella organization, we can help member associations coordinate their activities, which otherwise they would be doing in isolation. So, it functions on several levels in that sense.
And then, can you tell more about like the initiatives within FEZANA? Because it wasn't until I joined FEZANA as well, and I'm behind the scenes, that I realized there's so many amazing initiatives in play for the community.
Right. So, FEZANA does, some of our biggest initiatives that are, outside looking are say scholarships for youth. Right, we have 7 different scholarships. Our academic scholarships, we give out, anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000 a year. A lot of it are endowed scholarships, so they will remain for perpetuity. We have donors who endowed a certain amount of money, and those scholarships remain for perpetuity. But it's not only in academics. We do scholarships in performing and creative arts. I think you were one of the winners, in a year or two ago. We have a sports scholarship. We have a culinary arts scholarship. We have a fine arts scholarship. We have a religious education scholarship. So that is one. FEZANA also has a very strong critical assistance, medical and welfare committee. So we do welfare and medical aid to people, to Zartustis all over the world, not only in North America. So whether it's India, whether it's Pakistan, whether it's Iran, through ways and means that we can, and of course in North America itself. And over the years, we supported people, everything from people needing heart transplants and liver transplants to support to paying for people's funerals when they cannot, or domestic violence or abuse, or women's issues. So that is another initiative that we do. But FEZANA also then actively takes part at, say, the United Nations. So we are the only Zoroastrian body that is actively, participating at the United Nations as an NGO. And it's a very strict and a stringent protocol to kind of get in. And over the years, our administrators have done a great job, and committee chairs have done a great job in kind of keeping that. And currently, it's headed by Afreed Mistry, who's another youth who kind of grew through the FEZANA fold and now is taking leadership at the UN. And that's something that, again, we invite Zartusti youth from all parts of the world to participate in the UN. I think we've got over 70, 80 youth that have participated over the last few years, and they've come from all corners of the world. So, yeah, that's there. Then we have research and preservation. We have We have a census committee that kind of is defunct in a way. We have a Zoroastrian Youth of North America, which is the so-called the youth wing of FEZANA, and that's going to come up with some interesting new initiatives in the coming weeks. And so yeah, I mean, we have 27 different committees. If you go on FEZANA's website, which is fezana.org, we have 27 different committees, and to anybody who's listening and who's out there, if you want to just participate, look at those committee lists, see where your interests lie, and then send me an email or send the committee chairs an email. There should be a contact link over there, but if you don't find it, send me an email. My email is president@fezana.org. So yeah.
Get ready for all those emails, Arzan. That was actually one of the questions somebody asked, which was, if you're new to the community or you really want to start getting involved, how can you get involved? So for that, the answer is go to fezana.org, and there you'll find all the contact lists according to what committee you want to be involved in.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm seeing a few questions. A few people asked this. They're just wondering to know more about you, like where are you from? If you want to answer that.
Sure. So I am originally from Bombay, and as I kind of say that I still think of myself as somebody from Bombay. I grew up there. I lived there for 25 years of my life, and then when I was 25, I decided I wanted to do further studies, and so I came to New York City. It was a very conscious decision to come to New York because I just loved the city. I'd never been there before, but I'd seen enough in pictures and photographs that I knew that I would like it, and it turned out to be like Bombay, just 10 degrees more of everything. So since then, I run an architecture and a technology business and practice over here. And in about 2010, I got involved in community activities initially at my local association, which is ZAGNY, which is the Zoroastrian Association of Greater New York. And then slowly, got involved with FEZANA. Then after that, got involved with the Return to Roots program. And so, I've been just keeping myself. I found that as a way to kind of channelize my energy and my expertise, and found ways in which all of these organizations could need improvement, and then offered my professional services towards towards bettering them. Obviously, it's all in voluntary capacity, and that is how all of these associations work, right? Whether it's ZAGNY, whether it's FEZANA, whether it's Return to Roots. I mean, everybody who volunteers for their time and many times with their money and help makes things work. So yeah.
And I think that's an important thing to mention, is that everybody involved at FEZANA, it is volunteer time. So there's only so much that anybody can honestly do within the time that they have. But also to remind everyone, if they have something that's really important to them, or they want to start an initiative, then just to reach out, and we're happy to support them if they want to take a lead on something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I mean, FEZANA has a good platform. We have a mailing list that reaches nearly 10,000 people, and now with you handling our social media, we've already seen a big jump in participation and engagement. And so yes, if people have ideas, send them our way. We don't promise that we will take every idea and run with it, because it also has to align with the goals and principles of FEZANA, but also what we've been doing in the past. But we can always find a way to kind of make a really worthwhile idea into a reality.
Yeah. Great. Do you want to kind of just briefly touch on what your mission is as the president of FEZANA, what you're hoping to accomplish?
Sure. So I see myself at a time, when I think FEZANA is really moving to the next generation. We had the founding generation, as I like to call them, at FEZANA. People who came to the United States and to Canada in the 50s and the 60s. And then built up the community over here. So those folks have been here for the last 40, 50 years, but now it's time for the next generation to take on. And then, so what does that mean? Because you also have a lot of people who are now born first and second generation, born in the North American continent, right? So they don't necessarily come with the same kind of connection to the old lands of India, Pakistan, or Iran. So, how does FEZANA make itself relevant to a Zartusti who's born in North America, where, by the time you're born and you're young enough, you have three identities, right? You have either the Canadian or the American identity, which is your Monday to Friday identity. When you go to school, you're one of them. right? But then you also have your ethnic identity, which is you're either Indian, Pakistani, or Iranian, right? So you kind of have that identity. But then within that subset, you then have the Zoroastrian identity, right? So how does, so sometimes by the time you kind of, associate yourself with that third identity, it's, it's too far diluted. So I want to make sure that, that third identity kind of gets powerful enough. And one day we have a new hyphenated identity, which is the Canadian Zoroastrian or the American Zoroastrian, right? I mean, just now we call ourselves Canadian Indians, Canadian Pakistanis, Canadian Persians, so why not Canadian Zoroastrian or why not American Zoroastrian? So that's really one of the thrusts that I want to deal with. And I think the only way that can happen is to empower the youth. And so we are starting to take means and methods to kind of do that, whether it's reaching out to youth, like on a platform like this. We appointed our first chief social media officer. That was you. I think you kind of just fell into place, with what work you've done. So I think like people like you are the poster child for what we are hoping to do in the years to come. And so the empowering, engaging youth will be our primary focus. We also want to kind of make FEZANA more relevant. Just now, the struggle is that, FEZANA is this one body which everybody hears of, and most people associate FEZANA to be just a journal, right? But it's not really that. I mean, there is so much more that happens. Our challenge, obviously, is that because we don't have a physical presence in any one place, and our actual members are associations, it becomes difficult for us to kind of, sometimes we are seen as competing with the, causes of the associations, and we don't want to do that. So we are very cognizant. So we're taking a relooking at things where if associations are doing things better than FEZANA is, we will take a secondary role in that and empower the associations. But if there are things that FEZANA can do better than the associations, then we would like to take the primary role in that and help ask the associations to actively support us within that. So yeah, I mean, that would be the guiding principles of what we want to do. We're looking at things like starting, a youth camp, a national level summer camp for kids, because just now the kids between the age of 6 and 18, FEZANA doesn't cater for them at all. We have youth congresses where the minimum age is an 18-year-old, right? And we have adult congresses, but we don't have anything for the youth. So we're trying to, establish one of those. We hope to do like a global youth exchange program with Zoroastrian youth, where youth from North America can go and stay for a couple of months with a host family in the UK or in India or in Pakistan or in Iran, and then we reciprocate that in the coming years. So those are some of the other initiatives that we want to put in place.
I think that's awesome. I think there's so much that we want to do, within the year or within the next few years. But it starts with just supporting our associations that are already doing great things. Yep. And then just starting our own initiatives as well and trying to target all of those demographics, whether they're very young or have been around for a while. But just anybody really who wants to be invested in the Zoroastrian community, we're trying to support them. I think that's awesome. Thank you. I'm going to just go through this long question list. Sure. Well, one of the questions I think you've already answered, which was what plans do you have to get youth more involved? So you mentioned a few of those things. What's your plan to strengthen the relationship between FEZANA and Zoroastrians of Iran?
So I think that, it is, that has always been one of FEZANA's biggest challenges. And sadly, it has nothing to do with the efforts of FEZANA. It all has to do with the politics and the stand that the country takes. So, for example, we have very deep personal ties with the Zoroastrians of Iran, right? Many of our Iranian, members have family back home in Iran, so we are aware of what's happening over there. We try to, keep abreast of the ground realities. But for example, when we need to do fundraising, we cannot do any fundraising because we cannot transfer any funds to Iran. So a lot of people get all upset at FEZANA as to, why is FEZANA not doing a direct fund appeal, is because the government regulations just don't allow that, right? But that doesn't mean that we stop at that. We find other ways. We direct people to donate towards causes in, say, India or Pakistan, which do not have those kind of restrictions to help the folks in Iran. So, we are doing that. My predecessor, Homi Gandhi, last visited Iran I think 2 years ago, and he got an amazing welcome. I mean, from Mohammad Firozgari in Tehran, and in Yazd, and in Shiraz, and in Kerman. So people were genuinely happy that somebody took the time and the effort to kind of, come and visit them. And for whom it was very difficult to go because he's an American citizen. So it took him 4 months to get a visa, and he got the visa 3 days before he was supposed to take off. So he wasn't even packed because he's like, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to go or not, right? But to any Iranians who are listening to us out there, Iranian Zartustis, or even in North America, it's not for lack of effort, right? I mean, we are connected. We do our best to kind of help out, but officially we are bound by the fact that we are a 501c3 charitable organization, and we have to, go by the rules that the country sets. And FEZANA is headquartered in the United States. So, there are certain challenges and limitations, but we try to, help out in the best way we can.
Awesome. Thank you. Another question is, how can someone become Zoroastrian?
So, I think people have to keep in mind that Zoroastrianism is a religion, and there is nothing that would stop you from practicing and following, a religion of your choice, right? Personally, I would say that if you, in Zoroastrianism, we have the Navjot or the Sadre Pushi, which is basically the initiation into the faith, right? So Parsis do it at the age of 7 or 9. Iranians tend to do it at the age of between 15 and 20. I would say that, one needs to at least have the Sadre Pushi done. You need to make a stand saying that, yes, I would like to be initiated into the faith. And then you have to do whatever it takes to get that, and then to continue the practice. And of course, educate yourself, learn more about the religion, meet other Zoroastrians, understand the differences, because there are differences, right? I mean, there are cultural differences between Zoroastrians from, say, Iran and say the ones from India and Pakistan. Understand those differences and then embrace them, embrace all of them, because don't take sides. I would say embrace all of them, but definitely you need to have your Navjot or your Sadre Pushi.
That's really well said. Thank you. I really love that answer. Another question is, what are the principles of Gatha?
So I think let me put it this way. I'm not a scholar of the religion. The Gathas are the original hymns or poems by Zarathustra, and they are just one part of our Zoroastrian canon, right? I mean, we have a lot more theological, texts, and so the Gathas are just one portion of them. But from all all research and all understanding, they go back to the words of Zarathustra. And therefore they have a deeper meaning. They are not necessarily, they are not rules. They don't say that this is what you should do and this is what you should not. They basically lay the framework for how one can lead a better life, and how one can be a better Zarathustri. And there are enough sources out there. If you Google, there's avesta.org. There's a website that's run by Dina McIntyre, which kind of dwells into the Gathas. And the Gathas are so deep that, you would need years of understanding. And in fact, I myself find myself lacking in what is the deeper understanding of the Gathas beyond just the superficial. And I actually joined up for Zagni's Gatha class.
Nice.
Zagni's been running these Gatha classes, and they opened up enrollment for the new one starting in September. So I signed up for that because, I found myself asking myself the same question as to, so I couldn't talk beyond the first, couple of words or kind of, quote one line or two lines, but that doesn't do me well. So I think, if anybody wants to know more, there's enough internet resources, and check with your local associations. I know that Zambi has a Gatha, study circle. I know that Toronto does something similar. So, check with your local, local associations, and you should find out more about them.
And someone wrote, please share the Gatha class. So what I'll do is I'll just look into that, Arzan, and I'll share it on our page as well. So
sure, yeah. Awesome.
And please keep adding comments, adding questions. I am reading them. I just can't respond to them right away, but I really appreciate it. I saw somebody wrote that we've done a great job, responding to the pandemic in Iran and giving donations there. And someone wrote that it was their 2-year Sadre Pushi anniversary yesterday. So congratulations. I am reading them. Thank you, everyone. Another question is, What do you envision your leadership benefiting ties with the Indian Zoroastrian leadership, and how?
So I think this is a very critical and a very important question. Um, India is today. India has the largest Zoroastrian concentration. Anywhere from about 50,000 people, right? Majority of the Zoroastrians in India, majority of the Zoroastrians in North America, who are Parsi, find their roots back home in India or Pakistan, basically the Indian subcontinent. And FEZANA has always had very strong ties with the Bombay Parsi Panchayat, which is the de facto largest organization in India. Luckily for me, there are 7 trustees over there, and at least 2 or 3 of them are very dear personal friends. They've been friends before they became trustee or before I became FEZANA president. And so I actually hope that, that personal relationship can help us further strengthen, some common projects that we can do together. We haven't necessarily done anything that's common on an organizational level. We've supported each other informally. So, if they put out an appeal, we'll send it out over here and we'll raise funds. Or if they send us, somebody who wants help, a student moving here needs help, and we'll kind of connect them informally. But I'm hoping to actually do that formally. In fact, I was supposed to go down in August for Muqtad, and I was supposed to meet them in my official capacity, after I got elected. But of course, that will have to be postponed to December. But I think there is enough collaboration that can happen, and we actually do collaborate. There is, FEZANA is at the North America-wide level, but above that we have the Global Working Group, which meets once a year. It's a coordinating body of all the leadership across the world. So, from Hong Kong to Singapore to Pakistan to India, UK, North America is represented by FEZANA, Dubai, all of them. So we do meet and we find ways of mutually collaborating. So, I personally think, obviously India is also where I come from. So, that's where all my family is. And it just happens that I happen to know the trustees on a personal level, and I think I can take that personal relationship and make it a more formal structured relationship with the Bombay Parsi Panchayat in the years to come.
That's really good to know. Thank you. What are some of the major projects that you have in mind for your tenure as president?
So I think I spoke a little bit about it, but one is for sure, the FEZANA talks is one of them, right? And that is happening due to circumstance. We were going to have the North American Congress in Houston this year. We had to cancel it for obvious reasons due to the pandemic. And that would have been an opportunity where you get to meet amazing people and amazing speakers, and it happens every 2 years. Now, when that fell through, I was like, how can we capitalize and how can we take all of that was going to happen into those 3 or 4 days and make it happen now, right? So the idea of the FEZANA talks came about. And the way that we're going to structure the FEZANA talks is really that there will be, the serious academic, quasi-academic kind of level of talks, like the one that was there yesterday that Dinyar Patel did. But then there would also be ones that are primarily targeted towards the youth, which is the one that you're trying to put together.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think there are 2 audiences, right? That doesn't mean to say that youth talks should not be attended by adults and adult talks should not be attended by youth. So the FEZANA talks is one of them. I definitely want to look at establishing a Zoroastrian MOOC. A MOOC is an online initiative, like it's an open university. And, so you have all sorts of courses in other religions. Like, if you want to get a certificate course in Judaism or in Christianity, you actually can go to, sign up with programs that are affiliated to universities where people are teaching you these courses online. You sign up, some of them are paid, some of them are free. So I'm working with, Dinsha Mistry, who's spearheading that project to see how we can formalize and have an established Zoroastrian MOOC. Because one of the sad things that has happened, with the internet is that everybody's becoming a scholar, right? And it's very difficult to figure out, what's really scholarly versus what is opinion, right? And the more you're on the internet and the more you kind of start reading things, you'll see that, there is very little that is scholarly and a lot of it is just opinion. So I think FEZANA can take a lead role in that. And so in the next year or so, we're trying to do that. Then we want to set up a seniors committee. A lot of our founding generation are now in their 70s and 80s. And, many associations are doing individually different things to help the seniors. We want to kind of help at the FEZANA level to form a coordinating body to just help coordinate all of these efforts and share the lessons learned. If somebody's doing something really great, share it with other associations. The senior committee would do that. Another thing is to kind of revamp the religious education curriculum that we have for young kids. Every association has religion class, on the first Sunday of the month or the second Sunday of the month. But those have been, while the content is there, the way that the content is taught is not necessarily contemporary. So, but we now have a lot of people in the community who have amazing talent. We have illustrators, we have people who can make apps. We can, so we want to embrace that technology. So we are slowly putting together a small task force to kind of look at that and how we can, embrace technology and make religious education, especially for young kids. And that goes back to the idea that, if you're informed as a youth, when you're growing up, then you find the relevance of being a Zartusti in this world much more easier than having to open a book when you're 20 years old and try to read something and just lose interest. So
I'm smiling at a comment someone just wrote, Arzan for world president. But Arzan, that's really well said. I mean, we have so many exciting things coming up, and I'm so glad that you're, spearheading those initiatives. And I think I'll just take this time to remind anyone that if they want to get involved, we're happy to have them involved, because everyone involved at FEZANA is volunteering their time. So we would love any kind of support, and they can reach out to us and contact the right person through FEZANA.org, and we have contact lists there for each committee. And if you wanted, just to even promote something, or you have an initiative you have in mind, you can always message us on FEZANA's Instagram account or Facebook account as well. I'm happy to respond there as well. Another question somebody asked is, are you planning on establishing a Parsi colony and Dharamsala in the United States?
So you know what? It's actually an idea that hasn't that as much as it seems far out, has been brought up in the last 30 years, and one that would have really would have become a reality was in Houston. So in the 1980s, when the Houston community was looking for a property and a space to build their religious and cultural center, that whole effort was headed by a legendary visionary called Parvez Rustamji. And he had the vision, and obviously everybody else around him had that vision, that they bought, several acres of land, and the community center only needed a small portion of it. But they were going to use the remaining one to kind of build, senior housing, where people would buy individual plots of land and build their own houses and kind of form a Parsi colony. And that would be adjacent to, what today is the Bhandara Atashkade, right? So they would have literally been like, Parsi colony next to that. But however, I think economics and the economy, I think it tanked in 2000, and that kind of put a damper on that. So it hasn't really happened. But I mean, there is always the thought that, yes, why not have a senior assisted living facility for Zoroastrian? I'm guessing that, Toronto is another place where that would be really successful, because, you have two big associations. The OZCF has a huge, property that they are developing, in the years to come. And, it has 5,000 Zoroastrians over there. So if anything, that might be a test case, for making that a success. But it's not been thought of. But I'm hoping that in my lifetime it becomes a reality.
Are there 5,000 Zoroastrians in Houston? Is that what you just said?
No, in Toronto.
Oh, I was like, what?
No, in Toronto.
Okay.
No, I mean, Houston's probably got 1,500 also, 1,500 to 2,000. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive. I think someone submitted a question on Instagram. I'm just going to check. They asked, how did your journey with FEZANA begin, and when did you join, and did you play an active role since onset?
So I initially, in 2010, when I got involved at Zagny, we were hosting the North American Congress in 2012. And I deep dived into that, and I kind of, had a very big part to play in the success of that event, along with dozens of other volunteers, right? And at that Congress, Ketan Kapadia, who was the president of FEZANA at that time, she tapped on my shoulder and she said, "Can you help us with running our website?" And that time I used to actually design websites for for a living besides my architecture job. So I said, "Sure, why not?" Right? And I kind of got involved. And the interesting thing was that the website is basically FEZANA's gateway to the world, right? Because FEZANA doesn't have a physical headquarters. Like if you are in New York and you want to go to a Zoroastrian event, you go to ZAGNY. But FEZANA doesn't have we have a physical headquarters, but it's just an administrative one. So the website really became our doors to the world. And so while tackling the issue of the website, I kind of started seeing opportunities and problems in ways that FEZANA was doing things, right? So, for example, at that time, we weren't collecting any money online, So I said, why don't we do that, right? So we started, one of the first things we did was set up a donation portal, right? And today, I would say that 95% of the money that comes into FEZANA comes through the donation portal, online, right? So everywhere that I found inadequacies and where I could help with my expertise in the technology field, or even as an architect, right? I started helping in. And then in 2016, another ex-president of FEZANA told me that, the only way I can really make an impact in a big way is to get onto the FEZANA executive. And I think that is true of any voluntary organization, right? The only way for anything that happens voluntarily, right? Any volunteer organization, you will find a lot of people will participate and will criticize or will have good suggestions. But then the only way to really make that all happen is to get on the inside and then make change happen from the inside out. So I took a leap of faith. I stood for the FEZANA vice president's election, and then I completed, 4 years at that. And then through those 4 years, it was like a testing ground and, like an apprenticeship to kind of understand, what it would take to kind of, make some of my ideas a reality. And so then when the time came, I stood for, Homi Gandhi, who was my predecessor. He finished 2 terms. The one very good thing about FEZANA is that we have term limits. And, so you have each president is allowed 2 terms at the most. And so you always have a change of ideas. You have a change of blood in a way. So Homi's 2 terms finished. And then at that time I stood for and I got elected as the FEZANA president.
Amazing. How long is the term, by the way?
2 years.
2 years? Okay. Another question someone just asked is, are there any plans for a census to happen again in North America to see how many Zoroastrians live here?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So we've had a census committee at FEZANA. So we have a census and demographics committee. However, that committee has been defunct. So if anybody is reading out there and would like to get involved, please email me. The last census effort was done in about 2012. Okay, it ended in 2012. It started in 2010. And at that time, our census was roughly about 15 to 20,000 people, right? Now, keep in mind that this census is not a scientific census in the way that the US government or the Canadian government does it, right? We basically reach out to member associations with a detailed questionnaire, right? And then the member associations report back saying, okay, we got so many male members, we got so many female members, we got so many children. But of course, we are going to lose out on people, right? I mean, there are, even in New York City, I come across people, and I would say half the people are not members of ZAGNY. So then they don't get really counted in the ZAGNY numbers that, in the census count. So, but we definitely would want to do a census again, because I think once we do an accurate census, then we know how many people we stand for. And then, we can actually be counted, right? If we have accurate numbers, there are big pockets, like, for example, in Orange County in Southern California, there are at least 4,000 or 5,000 Zoroastrians, right? And they could become a voting bloc, right? So if we have credible information about that, we could reach out to the local, senator, we could reach out to the local councilman, we could be counted in ways that, help could be given to us, whether they're federal grants, state grants, all of that. So I think the census is very important. So if there is anybody out there who's professional in this field, statisticians, people who are doing this and would like to get involved, please email me. I mean, this is one of the committees where we don't have a functioning committee or a functioning co-chair.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And again, if anyone wants to get in touch with Arzan, they can at president@fezana.org. And you can reach out there. And if you also want to just get in touch in terms of social media, you can always just message directly on FEZANA's Instagram page or Facebook, or you can email me at tanya@fezana.org. Arzan, we're just reaching the end now. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we end up today?
So I think the one thing that I really want to put out is that you know there are ways that everybody can get involved in FEZANA, right? Whether it's whether you're a student, whether you're a young adult, whether you're a professional, whether you're a doctor, engineer, we can find something where we can use your talent, your professional expertise to make this RTC community better. So please don't sit on the sidelines. If you think that FEZANA is doing something right, write to us and let us know. But more importantly, if you think that FEZANA is not doing something or doing something wrong, definitely write to us, right? I mean, we are open to taking criticism. We all have thick skins. We won't take it personally. But when you write in, also write in with the idea in mind that you can contribute, in some way. I'm not saying you have to donate your money. I'm not even saying you have to donate your time. Maybe sometimes you just donate, you just share an idea. You share a way of doing something that you've seen somewhere else that FEZANA could be doing better. So if you're listening to us, reach out to your local association. That's actually where you should start first is, become a member over there, reach out, go to the function, take your kids to religion class. If you're youth, go for these youth mixers that happen, and just embrace the community, bring other people in, spread the word. So, if you're a young person going to school or college, and there's an opportunity at your university, talk about your religion, talk about your faith, and spread awareness, right? I mean, each one of us can be an ambassador of the faith, and it doesn't take a lot. And if you need help or if you need, material or guidelines, just reach out to us. We can help you. Tanya can help you through social media in spreading the word. We can put you in touch with other people who have expertise in if you need to give a 10-minute speech in Zoroastrianism, sure, we can get you that information. So, stay involved.
Thank you, Arzan. And yeah, exactly. And if anybody wants to, do an Instagram live and there's something that's really important to them that they want to share, I'm happy to arrange that as well. Just message us. And again, you can email me at tanya@fezana.org and we can arrange that. Thank you, Arzan, so much for your time today. I really
thanks a lot, Tanya. Thanks. This is awesome, and I wish you all the luck as we do more and more of these.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for attending and for your amazing questions. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Raymond and Marinas, for keeping us entertained in the comments. And thank you, everybody, for your genuinely amazing questions and engagement today. I really appreciate it. And thank you again, Arzan. And if you guys have any remaining questions we didn't get to, just post them on our post, Arzan's Q&A post on Instagram, and we can just answer them there.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Bye. Everybody have a nice day. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.